Well, good morning. It's Friday, February 19th. This will be another Mars colonization video. Today I wanted to talk about the movie The Martian. Now, this isn't a criticism of the movie. I really quite liked it. Now, I'm assuming, since you're looking at things about Mars, here that you've seen the movie. I'm not going to show any examples because I'm sure it's all copyright, so that won't help me at all. As I said, this isn't a criticism. What I want to do is use it as an example of things that I don't believe you would ever consider doing in a real scenario on Mars. Certainly in the situation that Mr. Watney, the character in the movie, found himself in on Mars. So the specific sequence in the movie has to do with when the airlock blows out and he has to deal with recovering from that. Now, first, I think it's important to understand that at this point in the movie, he still doesn't know he's being rescued. There's talk about doing something, but he has to realistically see that he's stuck there for a long time, at best. So the airlock blows out, kills all his potatoes, and he has to do something about that. Now, what he does is what I have a problem with. So let's start with the kind of simpler stuff, and that has to do with sealing up the hole where the airlock used to be. Now, it appears he's using duct tape and sheets of plastic. The plastic's not going to work. Let's assume he's using just ordinary 6mm clear plastic. That's not going to work on Mars because it's too darn cold. So that plastic is going to just shatter. And then he's using duct tape. That's pretty clear. That's not going to work either. The problem with that is, first, the place is cold, remember? The average is like minus 75, but at nighttime it gets down to minus 175. You're not going to be able to actually unroll or peel off the tape off the roll at those temperatures. More importantly, it stops being sticky. I've used tape here, and even at minus 20, the stickiness goes away. So that's not going to work. I realize that they need to make it interesting and simplify things in the movie, and I'm okay with that. My reason for pointing it out is just in a practical setting, in real life, those materials aren't going to be effective. Now, having said that, if that's all you have to work with, then you got to try anyways, even in a real situation. What I would have done is work from the inside. See, he put the plastic on the outside of the hole, and I wrapped it up and reinforced the plastic with the duct tape on the outside. I wouldn't have done that. A couple of reasons, mainly. One, if you work from the inside, then the inside's going to be heated at some point, and your duct tape stands a better chance of working if you keep it warm. The other thing would be some of the plastic, at least, would stay warmer. And I would have put multiple layers of plastic over the hole and reinforced the plastic with the duct tape on each layer, but I would use several layers. And then the pressure inside the habitat would help with keeping the plastic in place and sealing it. Putting it on the outside is much more problematic for that. One small thing with regards to the pressure in the movie, and it's a great scene where he's trying to keep himself from panicking as he's counting his remaining potatoes as the plastic is rattling in a windstorm. It's a great scene. Very, very effective, I think, because he has to be working hard not to panic pretty much all the time. However, you have to remember that the atmosphere there is extraordinarily thin, and the rattling just wouldn't happen. The pressure from the inside would keep the plastic tight, and no matter how strong the windstorm is, I doubt very much it would rattle at all. There's just not enough strength or enough pressure on the outside to affect the plastic as dramatically as it was portrayed in the movie. A minor point, but I think it's important to keep in mind. Now, those are actually, the plastic and sealing up and stuff like that are actually a minor point for me. The far more problematic issue in a real situation is that they dramatically declare that all the plants are dead and all the microbes are dead in the soil that he had inside, and that might be true, but I have a hard time believing that all the microbes, the living parts, would have died over several days of exposure. Because you have to keep in mind that it's inside the building, inside the habitat, so it's not going to be affected by radiation, and it's reasonably protected from atmospheric disturbances. So it's just the cold and the lack of an atmosphere that's going to affect it. Now, having said that, it could very well all the critters in the soil have been killed off, but the organic matter is still there, and that is essential. So the soil is still useful. And once once he had the place sealed up and warmed up again, that organic matter is still useful. And he can re-inoculate the soil from his own body, from his own waste, his own skin. And I would think that the air filters in the habitat have collected up an awful lot of organic material, bacterial material that's going to be useful. And that could all be used to re-inoculate the soil. Not as robustly as it was, but we are talking about a survival situation, so you'd want to try anyways, I believe. And he still has potatoes left over, so he could use those. Yeah, he's going to be hungry, but I would suggest that it would have been better to go on a starvation diet, which is what he had to go on following this in the movie. It would have been better for him to go on a starvation diet, at least temporarily, at the point when he's doing this, coping with this accident, because he has more fat, he has more muscle, he's in much better health than he is going to be later on in the movie. And so he could cope with the starvation much more effectively. So I wouldn't have abandoned the possibility of being able to revive at least part of his garden. This leads to another problem in that in the movie you see that he cleans out the habitat. He moves all the soil, all the dead soil supposedly, out of the habitat. He should never have done that. That's a huge amount of energy that he has expended to accomplish that. And I would never have done that. I certainly would have advocated that he never expended all that extra energy for something that truly wasn't necessary. He didn't need to empty out the clean the dirt out of the habitat in order to seal it up. The other problem with that is that would have taken more than one day, several days probably, and he's unnecessarily put a lot of strain on his equipment, on his spacesuit, on the filtration systems, and even more importantly, on the airlock that he has had to use, at the beginning and the end of the day, or several times each time during the day, while he's working on the evacuated section of the habitat. So he's putting an extra and unnecessary strain on the one piece of equipment he knows for sure is capable of failing, because he's already had one airlock fail. So he's putting this unnecessary strain on another airlock. And I'm not sure how many airlocks there were on the habitat, but if there's only one more airlock, that's an unnecessary risk. These are things that I think in a real scenario you would really truly have to take into consideration and take a little bit more time to really assess what was essential to do, the risks that needed to be taken to stay alive, and the chance that some of the things that looked like they were inevitably dead and irrecoverable, you should have taken more time to take the chance that they weren't irretrievably gone. Certainly in a situation where there was no risk or a minimal risk, you could say, to just taking the chance that the soil was still alive is far better option than throwing that away and expending a whole bunch of extra energy cleaning up something that you didn't need to do. So, there's my take on that particular scenario. See you soon.